Even men at the top of their game find themselves wanting more from life. Whether it's more meaning, unshakable confidence, a bigger impact, more money, deeper love, a hotter sex life, or a powerful legacy. Find out how good your life can be on this episode of Man Alive. Also, as I've supported men in their love and work lives for 15 years now, many men have asked me for the right words to say to be more attractive, desirable, and more of a leader. And I've found it's not so simple as giving scripts or lines. Because at the root of a connected and affectionate relationship and being more effective and inspiring at work is your ability to influence others. But most often, influence is not gained or lost with words. It's from what I call the invisible factors. So I created a quick guide for you called 3 Ways Men Lose Influence at Work and with Women, so you can understand how these invisible factors work and what has women and colleagues both more inspired to say yes. I think you're also going to be surprised to find out the moment when your influence actually begins. So grab the guide for free at shanajamescoaching.com/3ways. That's shanajamescoaching.com/3 and the word ways, WAYS. Or you can text ALIVE to 44144. That's the word ALIVE, ALIVE, to 44144. I hope you enjoy the guide and this episode. Hello and welcome to this episode of Man Alive. I'm excited to be here today with Taylor Conroy. Taylor, welcome.
Oh my gosh. Thanks for having me.
You are welcome. Taylor is an amazing man who I met actually on a recent trip to Hawaii and found out that not only does he have a heart of gold, but he's a really wise businessman. And so I have a particular fondness for when service and giving back and philanthropy coincides with business wisdom. There's just something I think is amazing about that, to use business to do good in the world. So we're going to talk today about doing good in the world with business. And we may talk about many other things like sex or how Taylor keeps himself energized or things like that. So stay tuned because we don't even know where we're going to go today.
It's going to get juicy as fuck. Oh, wait, Are we allowed to swear?
You can swear. Yes.
Fuck yes.
Okay. So let me give Taylor an intro for those of you who do not know him, and then we'll dive in. Taylor Conroy is a meditating surfer obsessed with building businesses that make change. His first social enterprise, Change Heroes, mobilized people in 80 countries to fund and build about 400 schools, water projects, libraries, girls' scholarships, anti-sex trafficking work, and more for 200,000 people around the world. He has lectured at Harvard, Princeton, NYU, Cornell, the United Nations on the topic of social enterprise and how to make money while making a profound impact on the world. And Taylor is the co-founder and chief adventurer of Journey, a public benefit corporation creating immersive travel experiences designed to transform communities that people visit and engage, and have the travelers actually engage, it sounds like, in the land and with the people who are there.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yep.
All right. So,
and a little update.
Yes.
And I think something that's really valid. It's so funny when you read out that bio. I'm like, wow, it's an impressive bio. And I'm like, I wrote it for myself. So hopefully it is. But what I think is so important to think of, like, what's behind the bio.
Yes.
Like what. Like, really, that all sounds like puppy dogs and roses and sweetness and like, wow, this dude's just like been success after success, which is actually completely not true.
Yeah, good, good. I love that you're saying this because I think it's easy to put someone on a pedestal and think they haven't struggled.
Exactly, and it's easy to put ourselves on a pedestal, aka any post we put on social media, like, oh yeah, my life is just freaking awesome today, as it is every day. When in reality, it's not. Everyone's got the ups and downs. And Change Heroes, that fundraising company that I started in 2011, it went belly up. Uh-huh. We tried to make it into it was a social enterprise, so for profit and for benefit, right? For impact. And we just could not freaking figure out a way to make the thing profitable. We're taking 5% of funds raised and 10% of funds raised, and the amount of technology we needed to build, blah, blah, blah. We took on investment capital, the whole thing. So what in the bio sounds like, dude is like impacted 200,000 people, which, yes, on the impact side, that business was a phenomenal success.
Yeah.
It crushed it, right?
Yeah.
From the impact side. But from the money side, I remember one day
You weren't making
sitting
money
there,
from it.
Shayna, dude, no, not even close. I remember one day, Shayna, sitting down and calling 40 investors that we had.
Wow.
We had 40 investors, right? These are all social impact investors, and telling them, by the way, it's over.
Wow.
It didn't work. I can't make it work.
I can't do
I'm
it.
trying. And it was really interesting. The social impact investors, the philanthropic ones that were like, oh yeah, it's all for good. It's all great. It's amazing how
they've changed on you
when the money's gone. Yeah. And I get it. It sucks. It stings when you've invested in the company, even though 7 out of 10 don't work. But anyways, so the story behind the bio is much deeper, and I'm looking forward to us having some time today to talk about the ups and the downs and the reality behind it. And that life isn't just, light or dark. It's a rainbow.
It is, right? It's all of it. So, I mean, I was reading that you became a millionaire by 26 and lost it by 36, was it? Or was it?
Lost it. That's so funny. I never actually heard
I know.
it said like that. Lost it.
Bankrupt.
I'm gonna say invested it, not the wisest.
Okay.
So do you want to hear like the story in a nutshell?
Yeah.
The money story?
Yeah.
Okay. So I grew up in a like at first when I was like 3-4 years old, there were times where my mom didn't know how she was gonna put food on the table. Then by the time I was in my teens, my dad was is an entrepreneur, and he started a construction company, and it ended up doing really well. And so by the time I was like 15, 16, we were upper middle class.
Uh-huh.
And so it was really interesting to watch him and my mom go through that journey.
Right, through that transition.
She worked with her.
Yeah.
Sorry, she worked with him. And go through the transition and all the beliefs that I had or were generated growing up. And all these little ceilings I had to grow to, let's say, break through. Yeah. So my first career, I was a firefighter. I was a professional firefighter in Canada. I loved it. I loved going to work and helping people. And that was probably the very beginning of all of this. Realistically, I remember kept saying to myself, wait a second, my job is to go to work, help people, and then go home. Like, I only get called if someone needs help. Right. And if they need help, we go help them and save their life sometimes, or do what we can. And that's that. And that was my job. And I remember thinking, I can't ever have a job that's not doing this, not doing both. Yes. Making money and making impact at the same time.
Yes.
And getting money as a firefighter, that's not the best. You're not making that much cash. And I remember thinking, I kind of want to make more than this. So I picked up selling real estate on the side, became a realtor, got a real estate license, and started selling. And I ended up being really good at it. And so I did both for about a year. And I nicknamed myself Conroy. And that stuck really well. Everyone laughs when I say that. And I literally had friends that didn't know my real name. They thought my name was Condo. And I thought, how brilliant is that? When your friends don't even know your name, you're so well branded. Yes. Because for selling condos. Anyways, real estate went great. It was a hot market. I was selling properties myself and fixing them up and flipping them and stuff like that. And ended up, my net worth was $1 million by the time I was sometime in my 26th year on this planet. Wow. And I was super stoked. So happy, elated. I was very happy for roughly 24 hours.
24 hours?
24 hours. It took 24 hours before that voice in my head, the voice of, this isn't enough. Mm-hmm. That there's got to be more. You'd be happier if you had 10 million.
Yes.
That voice came in. And that was a moment, Shayna, that I'll never forget. I was sitting there and I was thinking, wait a second. Did I just celebrate a win that I've been working towards for like 3 years? Did I just celebrate it for 24 fucking hours
and then
before I'm like already thinking it's not enough?
Mm-hmm.
AKA I'm not enough.
Yeah.
Which we can go into later, but that belief anyways. And I thought, I started analyzing my life and my happiness and realizing that the biggest impediment to my happiness was more.
Uh-huh.
So like more, a titus.
Wow. That's kind of amazing at 26 to get that.
Yeah, it was a taste of it. Realistically, It was a taste. Everything inside me wanted to go back to just setting financial goals and crushing them because I just become good at it.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I don't want there to be more than this. I want this to be
right. I'm good at this. This is working.
Yeah, it was like, I played lots of sports growing up, and I was never like the best at the sports. Right, I always had to work harder than the guys that had natural ability. So finally, I found something I was really good at.
Yes.
And And as soon as I found it, I was like, oh shit, it's not going to make me happy. Dang it. Anyways, which I'm sure a lot of the guys that are listening to have had
I'm
that
sure
experience
this
of
makes
like
sense to a lot of men.
hit this big success, and we think we're going to be happy once we hit the 7-figure mark or whatever it is, and it doesn't bring happiness.
Right, or whatever market is for that individual, right? We all
exactly.
Yeah.
Which could be, the really hot wife or the really amazing car or the other things that we objectify as it, and it just being open with you and thinking that they're going to give us happiness, and they don't.
Yes.
Anyways, so after that, I started thinking there's got to be more than this. I tried to bury that feeling down, but it kept popping up. And I went on a trip in 2009. I was still a real estate agent, was doing really well. And I went to Uganda and Kenya, and I went there to find a cause that I was really passionate about, find something that I could sink my teeth into. Like I really wanted to see where the money I was going to donate was going to go. Yeah. And my heart kind of got broken wide open. I would say it was almost like the Grinch who stole Christmas, and his heart grew 2 sizes, like that, or AKA empathy. I started to, for the first time in life, I was like, wait a second, there's other humans on Earth aside from me, wow. Like in a total Zoolander voice. Wait a second. Anyways, I got really into philanthropy, and I started wanting my job to be helping people again.
Going back to the firefighting career, right? And that sense of, I want to do good in the world.
Exactly. And then at the same time, which is just another like story behind the bio, is like I started to negate myself in the process. So the first part of my adult life was all about Taylor. There was no one else that existed. It was about Taylor. It was about him and his spray tan and frosted tips and
right, because you were a professional weightlifter, bodybuilder.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, putting steroids in my butt every 2 days or whatever it was to get bigger, because I was never big enough.
Right,
I don't know if
more.
Catching the theme of my adult life. Yeah, I'm not enough. I'm not big enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not fast enough. I'm not making enough money. I don't have enough, good enough girlfriend, and blah blah blah. Enough. Yeah. Right. Anyways.
Well, I love that you're conscious of this. I mean, it's amazing to talk about it so openly.
It's blatant. And so what was I getting at? So the first part was all about me. The next part was all about service. It was like actually totally negating myself. And it's like, it became all about impact. And I didn't remember not even having a home at one point. I was just traveling so much between speaking gigs and trying to raise capital for the company and sleeping on the couch in the office because
so you went from one extreme to the other.
Yeah. The other, exactly. Full pendulum swing. Yeah. And that is a recipe for disaster. And you could say, if you're trying to look at this through the spiritual realm, you could say, it was the ego clothing itself in a different, instead of money, it was impact. Right. I'm going to make the most impact. I'm going to make more impact than that guy. Yeah. Whatever it is, it was the same thing, but covered in like gold wrapping paper.
Yes.
And that then I put all the money that I had from real estate into building this fundraising company, and all of it, everything, like $400K. And I was so set up in real estate. I had like multiple rental properties. I was very smart with my money. Then I became very silly with my money. And then when the company didn't work, I went, holy cow, wait a second, if that didn't work, which I was completely banking on it working, then all the money that I had is gone. And the money that I took out in loans from the bank in my personal name to float the company, that's all gone too. And so I ended up going through a personal bankruptcy.
Wow.
I'll never forget sitting there at the trustee's office going like, wow, here I am signing bankruptcy papers.
Yep.
And so I went through that. And on the other side, I remember sitting there. I remember I took a screenshot. It's on my phone of when my bank account had $1.12 in it, and I didn't really know. And that was it. There's no other account.
That's all you had.
Everything I owned was a suitcase and a bag and the clothes that were in it. And
talk about living life to the extremes.
You may as well. And that from then coming let's call it like the comeback or whatever. I've made $1 million since bankruptcy.
Yeah. Wait, okay. So before we go to sorry, I just hit my computer. Before we go to all the way coming back, I'm just curious what it was like for you in those first couple days or months of really knowing, okay, I've got $1.12 in my bank account.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was hustling. First of all, that word I was hustling. I was staying in a house that had 4 rooms. I was in charge of renting the rooms out. And if I did it well enough, then I wouldn't have to pay much rent. And then the company that I had started, the travel company, would pay part of the rent too, because we used it as our office as well. So I was doing everything I could to kind of I was eating mung beans and rice. I was really good at cooking mung beans and rice. A lot of protein in that, by the way.
Yes, there are.
You can really get by. So it came with all of the stuff that you would think that a bankruptcy would come with for me, for a man who judged himself on
right.
money and success.
Money and success.
Identified, exactly. I cried in the shower sometimes twice a day. I had an amazing girlfriend who was very nurturing at that point, and really nursed me through a lot of it. And it was a really hard time, and it was absolutely fucking amazing and here's the reason. The reason is because I had no choice but to find happiness inside myself, not based on external circumstances.
Yeah, right. When everything's taken away, that's all you have left.
Yeah, I had to go deep, and I had to go, wow, the breeze feels really good on my skin right now. And wow, I still get to surf almost every day because I was living in LA. Sure, the water smelled like pee because it's Venice Beach, and I do paddling through some garbage, and I was surfing on a foam Costco board, but nevertheless, I was still in the water every day, and it felt amazing. And so I started really focusing on the things that I did have and that I was grateful for, and I just started generating this genuine happiness inside myself, exclusive of what other people thought. And I started to be able to notice what triggered me, like what was it that I was embarrassed about still. And I was so fucking embarrassed about going bankrupt. I was so embarrassed about it. I was so shameful. I felt so bad that people had invested in my company and it didn't work and they lost their money. I forgot about the 500 schools that we helped build
that you actually
at that point, 150 homes and stuff like that. None of it mattered at that point. None of it even mattered at all because I was a failure in my mind. But that being said, I started to slowly find happiness in myself, exclusive of what other people thought. And I noticed that the big dark shadow, which I know you're an expert at shadow work, Shayna, is the big dark shadow for me was this going bankrupt. And so I decided that I needed to tell as many people that I was bankrupt as possible. And so I booked a TEDx talk. I booked a TEDx talk and I got up on stage and
Was this your first TEDx talk or you had already done a TEDx talk about your?
It was my fourth.
Your fourth. Okay.
It was my fourth. And I did it on being bankrupt. Because I was in the midst of bankruptcy when I did it. I got up there, I said, hey, my name is Taylor Conroy. I'm 35 years old and I'm bankrupt.
Wow.
And I got off the stage. Not many people know this, but I got off the stage. My best friend was there, Serena, amazing woman. And I went back into the speaker's room and I got on all fours, all my hands and knees, and I just started dry heaving. I just started like this huge, cathartic, incredible release. Like if you could have seen it through a spiritual eye, it probably would have looked like a whole bunch of dark energy, like getting eliminated from my system.
Well, and it's a bold and wise thing to do, right? Most of us, when we have these feelings of embarrassment and shame, we tuck them inside and try to hide them and not show anybody. So I love that some part of your soul recognized, oh, I'm going to go open this up and show this to the world. And that's actually the way to heal.
Yeah. It was the thought of like, fuck no, this isn't going to imprison me. I'm not going to alter what I talk about in certain situations because I'm shameful about this. I'm getting this out. And I remember the response was incredible. So many people reached out saying, I went through the same thing. I'm going through the same thing. I haven't told anyone. It's been 5 years since I went through bankruptcy and I still haven't told a soul. I haven't told my mom, my dad, my brother, anyone, and that's when I started really realizing the power of this shadow work, of facing it, of going, oh yeah, this is it. And it could be like, here's something I'm shameful for that was quote unquote a failure in the eyes of general society, or here's something shameful for that I just like, that I'm embarrassed that I like, or here's the kind of sex that I like to have and it's different than the typical mainstream and therefore
right, I feel like
of it, or whatever it is.
Wrong with it.
It's absolute freedom to be able to talk about that stuff, and that is dominoed and like exploded into my entire personal life. You can imagine my relationship with my girlfriend now. When we talk, I go, there's nothing that I can't talk to her about. There's nothing.
Well, I love that you're being an example of this, especially for men and on this podcast for men, because right? You know, we as women are a little more socially conditioned to be able to say to our girlfriends, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling fat today, I'm feeling la 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 la, you know, all these things. And men especially are really taught, like, hold it in, suck it up, be a man, don't cry. So thank you for being a man who's willing to go here and put this out there.
My pleasure. I mean, there's nowhere else to go. This is the spot. This is like, you know, and I feel like, I'm sure other guys feel this. I'm sure other guys feel this from time to time. Excuse me, let me open this on my phone charger at the same time. There we go. Is we're hiding. And Shayna, I'd love to say that it's just as simple as, you know, we're embarrassed about this thing or that thing, but our society, we're just not accepted, you know, for a lot of the ways that men just plain think.
I was just gonna say, just plain think or feel, or right, all of those things.
All of it, exactly. Like the other day, I was sitting in a restaurant. I saw this guy drive past in a truck, and he looked in the restaurant, and I thought I had this whole mind play go out of him stopping and us getting in a fight and me beating him up and all this kind of stuff. And I said to my girlfriend, I said, you'll never guess what just went through my head. I said, she says, what? I said, for the last minute, I've just been thinking about beating that guy up that drove by in the truck. Yeah. She's like, what? Why do you think that is? And I'm like, because this is what it's like being a man. Sometimes we just think
he looks like he might be more powerful, or he might be a threat, or
he's a threat. But you know, or all these like things that go in our head, or well, this is what I could say to him, or this is what I blah blah blah.
Right. And how can I not feel like I'm not good enough, or I'm smaller here?
Exactly. So anyways, I've been yapping your ear off for one question, but
I love where this is going, which is, you know, a little different than I expected, which is great. That's the most fun. So you talked a little bit about that, you know, the major theme of your life, or that question, or the sense of not being enough, or needing more. So I'm curious. I mean, some of it sounds like you worked with that through putting your shadow out there and not being, you know, in the grip of the voice that says I have to be hidden. Are there other things you did, you know, for men out there who are still in that hiding, I'm going to hold back, I'm not going to show this, you know, how did you work with that sense of not being enough?
Oh, you know, I would do basic stuff like affirmations. I am enough. I am good enough. I am great, blah, blah, blah. Depends on where you're starting, right? If you pick up the book, You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay, that'll meet you wherever you're at. And that'll help with affirmations. I just started reading books again and just I realized that bankruptcy was a symptom. Yeah. Right. Bankruptcy wasn't the sickness. It was a symptom of undervaluing myself, a symptom of a brain that was just not working in an optimal way, let's say. Okay. And I'm just going to switch my audio. Let me know if this works well for you. My AirPods are dead.
Yeah.
Cool. It was a symptom of me letting my brain get sick in a way, right? And so I started to reprogram it. I started to get very clear. I was like, okay, well, if this is happening in my life, if I just, you know, ended a relationship that I was in, that was a pretty phenomenal relationship, and I just blew that one, and I'm bankrupt, and this company that I have is not making money yet, and the common denominator is me. The common denominator is like me and how I think. And so I started reading books like The Richest Man in Babylon, You're a Badass at Making Money, You Can Heal Your Life, you know, and other great ones like Power of Now and A New Earth and Autobiography of a Yogi and The Surrender Experiment, and some just amazing books. But I just completely, that's why I actually bought iPods in the first place. I remember when I bought these, because I did not have the $200 or $250 or whatever it was that it took to buy these. Yeah. But I probably should have spent the money on food, but I bought them so that I could perpetually have audiobooks in my ears all the time.
Be learning all the time.
And reprogramming. Just I was like, holy, this thing needs a whole reboot.
Well, right. And which is actually a concept of that we can reprogram our brains, right? You know, a lot of people think, oh, these are my thoughts, so this is what's real, or this is what's true. And to realize, just because I have these thoughts doesn't mean that actually this is, you know, in any way me or serves me or the world.
Yeah, exactly. And think of the voice that comes through when you are mad at yourself, let's say. Like for me, even right before I got on the call with you, I was like, what did I say? damn it, Taylor, stick to your guns. I think I said that to myself, like, just stick to your whatever.
Right. Whose voice is that?
Oh. I was like, hi, Dad.
Hi, Dad. Yeah.
Good to see you again. I know I'm 37, but now I'm talking to myself like you.
Right.
And like the voice in our heads, they come from somewhere, right? It's not like, and typically 99% of it's from our mom and dad. And yes, that can be reprogrammed, because unless you had like the healthiest mom and dad relationship in the world, and it just was all puppy dogs and rainbows, which I've never heard existed,
nope.
then we need to reprogram. And that's the beautiful thing about our minds, is it can be reprogrammed.
Yeah. And
I know you always wanted to, I think, touch on the giving stuff, is like that, how that ties in is that what feels the most amazing to me, what feels the most incredible, natural, euphoric, mind-blowing is giving and contributing. And that's one of the reasons myself and all the other men that are on this earth, we're here to protect, we're here to contribute, we're here to serve, right? Like when I feel the most natural is when
I feel touched hearing you say that.
That's what we're here for. Like if we, as an aware man, or let's say a man who's becoming more and more aware every day, and I'm sure most of the men that are listening to your podcast are very aware men. They know when something feels good and when something feels great and when something feels bad. If we as men can tap into our bodies at the moment when we carry a bag for a woman, or we, make her dinner, or we rub her feet, or whatever it is, and we do that in a really genuine way, it's like, oh, this is what I'm here for.
Huh, interesting.
Right? And it's a beautiful thing to, and a lot of men are like, well, I'm here for more than, I've got a mission. Yes, we've all got our mission. Yes. And we're here to protect. We're here to, first of all, like, not to go like way super tangential here, but like, even like if you look at the teachings of Tantra, okay. Yeah. They're not just like how to last like for 5 hours in the sack, like Sting. They're more like the women hold all the wisdom. Right. This is the belief that women have all of the wisdom. This is
so interesting, because as a woman, I can't say some of these things, or it doesn't sound the same coming from me, but it's really interesting to hear them coming from you. And I think, right, men can actually start to consider, oh, well, okay, let me try this on. Right. So, okay. So you're saying women hold the wisdom.
Well, I'm going to get right to that in a second. The fucking horse shit that we get dealt into our brains every single day from pornography, for one, from basically any media, for everything that we learn, is that men are superior to women. I've been learning that I'm superior to women since I was 3 years old. Yeah. Right. I have learned that over and over and over and over again. Let's say it's been reflected to me, and that's how our society operates. It just is. Right. And it's not, I shouldn't say it just is, and it'll never change. It's fun. Thank God. A massive shift is happening right now.
There's a massive shift
all
happening.
These different ways, all these different ways. One of them being that we're working together, right? Yeah. Like you're a client of mine in a company, and most of our clients are women, and they have these profound messages. Stuff is shifting so fast out there, it's bananas. Yeah. But the Tantra thing, the women hold all of the wisdom. They have all of the wisdom. They're like the most intuitive, wise sex, let's say, by far. And it's our job as men, through this is the teaching of Tantra, to help the woman go get the wisdom. Like we help her go deep, like take her to a spot that she maybe
take her somewhere she couldn't go by herself.
But she gets the wisdom, and then she gets to teach it to us.
Yes.
Right. Our job is to help her go there. Then she brings
it back.
Right. And going through life with that attitude towards women of like, I have so much to learn from you.
Right. And how can I serve so that it actually does come back? Right. I think there's a sense of, and there are a lot of men who are pleasers and who are nice, identify as nice guys. And there's this sense of giving, but they've lost themselves in the process. So I guess I want to point out that this is different, right? This is not just
this is standing strong in your masculinity, being so strong in your masculinity that you are not threatened by a woman and her intuitive wisdom, feeling so strong and stable in your core that you are happy to do the things that would bring her to a place that she hasn't gone herself. And you're happy to make sure that to acknowledge that she's the wise one in the relationship. Right. And I'm not saying men don't have a place in being wise, of course. Right.
Oh, right. Of course, men are wise too.
Yeah. Of course, men are wise too. We got that. But so anyways, got a little off topic, but the giving thing there is, and we're also talking about like how to like retrain the brain and get out of this spot of shame and guilt and all that kind of stuff, or whatever's associated to a lack of money or lack of something in our life. Is if we really tap into what feels the best for us, it's and for me, it is serving people. It is assisting this movement that's happening from, let's call it the divine feminine, and it is giving. And that the only thing science shows us, Shayna, the only thing that comes anywhere close to the only thing that usurps, passes, supersedes the feeling of giving, the endorphin, beautiful cocktail of hormones that we get when we give and we serve. The only thing that usurps that is falling in love.
Interesting.
The only thing that feels better is falling in love. Falling in love is like the best feeling on the planet.
You said the best feeling on the planet?
Yeah. And I mean, giving is a close second.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
well, right. Amazing. And I'm thinking about the Book of Joy. Did you ever listen or read that? It's Doug Abrams brings the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu together for these conversations. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's incredible. And they really do. They talk about, right, how one of the pillars of joy is giving. And you have managed to create a life or, work that is also connected with giving, which I think a lot of men somewhere in there would actually like to do, but don't have a sense of, well, wait, how do I combine all of these things? Or how would I make this happen and not give up being the provider for my family? And,
Yeah. Well, first of all, the more money you give, but to a certain extent, the more money you make. You have to give away 10% of your income. It's just, this is a thing, read a book on money.
More about that. You're saying like you have to give away and kind of tithe in a way, 10% of your income to causes you believe in?
Whatever charity you feel like giving it to. And for all the men that are going, wow, that sounds like a lot, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I can hear that voice.
Cut your bullshit and know that 10% is like, read any book on money, okay? Read any book that talks about how to make more money. Yeah. One of the core tenets is you have to
give
tithe. Whether it be, pick a percentage, 3%, 5%, whatever it is. Mine's 10%. Has been since I was 22. It was the thing that I would say most contributed to me becoming a millionaire was giving. Because I knew that the more money I made, the more money I would be able to give. And so when I made money, it felt really, really good. It really cut out a lot of the limiting beliefs that I had around money.
Right.
And so to try to make this massively spaghetti kind of conversation that I've been, taking us all over.
Tangentially.
To bring it back a little bit here.
Yes.
First phase of life, again, was all about me. Second phase was all about giving, both unhealthy, both completely unhealthy. Third phase, thank God, is about both. Is about having a very clear business model, knowing exactly where our money is coming from, knowing exactly how much we're going to make every month, and knowing exactly how much we're going to be able to give because of it.
Yes.
Beautiful. And so for someone who's looking for a place to start,
that's exactly.
I started when I was 22 by giving 10% of my money away, and I was a firefighter at the time. I made $2,200 a month. It was like after tax and after pension money, so I give $220 away a month. Sometimes I would save it up for 3 months and give away like $600. Wow. And to me at the time, that was an exorbitant amount of money.
Right. That sounds like a lot when you're making $2,200 a month.
Yeah. Giving away $600 felt incredible. It made me feel abundant, grateful, humble, like absolutely amazing.
What would you say to a man who has that reaction of like, oh God, it doesn't actually feel amazing. It feels scary, or I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to do certain things for my family.
He hasn't done it yet. The person who's having that reaction has not done the giving yet. He's done I don't want to, he's getting stuck in fear and lack. And he's getting stuck in all the patterns that people get stuck in. A person who says, well, that's just too much money, hasn't done the giving yet. If he's done the giving, he realizes, wow, I want to figure out a way I can do this more. Right?
Because so anyone who's thinking there's a like, difference that's too much, once you've done it.
Yeah. Anyone who's thinking like that's too much, just do it for a month. Do it for a month and see how that makes you feel, and see the abundance that it brings into your life. Because that's realistically, it's, again, the world is not black and white where it's just like, I go and work this many hours, I make this much money, and that's just how the world works. No, the world works on vibration. The world works on energy, and the energy that you have when you give money is fucking profound. It sends a message to the universe that I have more than enough. It sends a message to your whole being that I have more than enough. It sends a message to humanity that I am here to serve you and to support you. I am so solid that I am going to support others.
So it sounds like, right, and it even works with that inner scarcity Like
Oh,
that
yeah.
giving is the way to transform versus some other thing like, oh, I could actually make more money and it would ever feel like I have enough, like you were saying when you were younger.
Exactly. Nothing faster, nothing speedier. And not the most eloquent with my words right now, but there's nothing that's going to make you feel more enough faster than
Giving. Wow. So, okay, what about someone who wants to start a company or, work in the world that actually combines giving back with making money? Any tips for that?
Yeah, my suggestion is to start. My suggestion is to start right fucking now. My suggestion is to stop listening to the voice that says, when I do this, then I will give. Bullshit. When I start this this amazing company, and then we're gonna put in this awesome give back model and blah 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 blah. No. Just pick a percent right now, 3%, 5%, 7%, 10%, whatever feels right to you.
Yeah.
And start giving that right away.
Yeah.
That needs to start now. Like Tony Robbins said it best: if you won't give 10 cents out of a dollar, you'll never give 100,000 out of a million.
You'll never what?
If you won't give 10 cents out of a dollar,
yeah,
you will never give $100,000 out of a million. Never. It starts with a habit. It starts with like
the habit, and then actually expanding your money consciousness.
Yeah.
To have
exactly.
more.
Exactly. And a book that I highly recommend, 2 books that I recommend on money that are written by women. It's very rare to find money books written by women. Most of them men, Napoleon Hill and all these guys. Jennifer Sincero, You're a Badass at Making Money, phenomenal. And another one is The Soul of Money by Lynn Twist.
That's a classic.
Yeah, classic. For you, it's a classic.
For a lot of men, they haven't heard of it.
For a lot of men, it's different. Excuse me, let me grab a little sip of water. The way that she explains the analogy she uses, which I'm sure you've read, Shanna, is, you've got the Dead Sea. The reason the Dead Sea is because there's nothing flowing into it. There's nothing flowing out of it. It's just sitting there. There's no flow. And so it's dead. There's no life. It's salty. It's very salty. I've been in it. If you get salt in your eyes, it feels like it's acid. Yeah. It's so salty. And then there's, I think the analogy is the Red Sea, full of teeming with life, just abundance of life, because there's lots of water coming in and there's lots of water going
out. Yes.
So we need that in our money too. We need to be giving that. And I would suggest that you do it every single month unless you've got a very clear plan of here's exactly what I'm going to do in 3 months. Once I save up this money, then I'm going to give it. Yeah. Then cool.
Otherwise, just getting
the habit. Yeah. Exactly.
So, all right. I mean, I love that where we ended up going was a lot more around money consciousness and, how giving has impacted your life. And, I thought we were going to talk a little bit more about starting companies and things like that. But as we're wrapping up, can you just give a couple of, inspirational moments or things that have touched you that you've seen from these people around the world that you've worked with, something that these men can really get, oh, this is what's possible.
So, a couple years ago, I went on this trip to El Salvador, and I watched, it was our first home building trip. So I had done a Facebook post saying, hey, whoever wants to raise money to build homes in El Salvador, let me know. And if you do it, we're going to go and build the homes ourselves with the families that are going to live in them, alongside a bunch of local Salvadorian volunteers. And I just set up the details for people, and a bunch of people jumped on board. We ended up funding 24 homes, I think, on that trip.
Wow.
These are little prefab homes. They go up in 2 days. And I'll never forget watching this man, a guy named Marlon, who had raised the money, 40 years old, from Vancouver, tattoos up and down both arms, shaved head, really tough looking guy.
Yeah.
Build the home that he had helped fund alongside a 95-year-old man named Senor Rodriguez. I think I talked about this guy in Hawaii, Shayna.
Yeah.
95 years old. And I watched them for 2 days build this home together. And then I'll never forget the moment of watching Marlon and his friend hold this ribbon across the door, and watching Senor Rodriguez, these little 95-year-old 95-year-old hands with a pair of scissors, cut this ribbon and walk into his home for the first time.
Wow.
And I watched Marlon start crying. I started crying. I just think about it. I started crying. And knowing that he's going to have a roof over his head is this very first brand new home of his life.
His first home at 95?
His first new home.
Wow.
He lived in a small shack before that.
Wow.
He's been on the planet for almost 100 years.
Wow.
Right? And what's important about that is that all started from the very beginning of like, I'm just going to give 10% of my money away. I'm not going to try to be Bill Gates or anyone like that. At first, I started giving it to a cause that was near and dear to me, which was a eating disorder clinic, because my sister had suffered from an eating disorder. Mm-hmm. So I'd give it to that, and it felt great. And then I wanted to up it from there, and then up it from there, and up it from there, and then it ended up being a fundraising company so other people could give as well. Mm-hmm. So the point of this, and I kind of feel like I've been like really like, fuck it, do it now. And that's not necessarily how people respond. That's my own stuff, right? So you guys hear, that's my own stuff there, any aggression there. The most beautiful feeling I've ever felt in my life is that feeling of watching Marlon and Senator Rodriguez build this home. Yeah. And the nice thing is I've been able to feel that thousands of times because I've seen people, we've had thousands of fundraisers raise money. We've built 150 homes with our own hands throughout Latin America. Yeah. We've helped refugees in Greece. We've done, anti-sex trafficking work in Cambodia. So I've got to feel that feeling 1,000 times. I've had all the highs and lows of $0 to $1.12 in my bank account and making millions of dollars. Yeah. And I can tell you, none of those numbers even comes close to the feeling of giving and actually contributing.
Yeah. Which I'm just really thinking about how, if you're a man listening to this podcast and you in the theme of man alive, right? If you're lacking a kind of aliveness, we can think, I need to find the career or the relationship or the amount of money or something that actually fulfills me. And I think that the main takeaway I'm getting from this, right, is start to give, start to care for people, start to take care of people, start to give back however you do it, whether it's you start with 10% or whether it's you start with service or whatever it may be, and how much that can be the answer and the aliveness that people don't think to look for.
It's pretty amazing when that money, I talked to this woman a while ago, and she's like, she's really, really, really in a tough spot and marginalized community in the States, but anyway, a bunch of stuff going against her. She was telling me how her freezer broke down, and she's like not sure what she's going to do because when she's living on as low an income as her, it depends on buying bulk frozen food so that she can last. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, cool. And at some point I found out what her address was. I just sent her a freezer. So sent her like this big, badass, awesome freezer that with a 5-year or 10-year, whatever the biggest warranty possible was. And the reason for that is because, and by the way, this is like just after bankruptcy. Yeah. This is after like a few months. I made a little bit of money, but I had saved up $1,200 or so in my Give account. Yeah. And so when the opportunity was there, it was there. I was like, done. Sent it. I think it was, $800 or something like that for the freezer. And, I talked to her the other day. It's full of food and she's doing great. And
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your generous heart. And thank you for being an example. One thing I'm just noting, you have a Give account. So that's another concrete thing that people can do is actually start creating an account and moving money into that, right? So that you have it there to give.
As soon as the money goes in. Exactly. As soon as money comes into your account. Boom.
Yeah. Yeah. And back to my appreciation of you. Thank you so much for being, willing to wake up on this ride and for not hiding and recognizing that we get to transmute the shadow actually by coming forward and sharing those things that seem shameful or embarrassing.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you. This is a good reminder for me to do that. I've got something that I need to share with someone that I haven't. So I appreciate that. I'm going to take some of my own medicine here.
Awesome. Thank you for being with me.
Thanks, Jana. Thanks everybody for listening.
I'm so glad you joined us for today's episode of Man Alive. I hope it gives you a sense of what's possible and how good your life can be. If you like what you heard, I'd be so grateful for you to subscribe to Man Alive and write a quick review that helps men like you find us. And again, head over to shanajamescoaching.com/manalive to get outtakes, videos, and raw footage I only share there. These are some of the most interesting parts of these expert conversations. You can also grab your copy of The Unknown Power to accelerate your career and solidify your confidence with women, because the two are related, and I know you don't have to settle for one or the other. Join us each week for a new episode of Man Alive.